I want to say good morning to everybody. Glad that you're here today. We're getting ready to continue down through the Word of God. Having a little bit of technical difficulties, I had to switch cameras. So, hey Jerry, good to have you with us this morning. So we're going to continue to try this. Film might not be just as good as it always is, but we'll persevere, right? Hey, if you attend church and you listen to the sermons, or you watch TV and you listen to the radio preachers, and that's all you ever had to go by, how would you define God? Every now and then I listen to some of the sermons on the radio, or I listen to things being broadcast on Periscope. I am always amazed that 99% of what I hear and what I see is about God blessing us. It seems that if you were to listen to the TV preachers, that's all that God ever does, is just bless us. It's all he is just a big old genie in a bottle. Now don't get me wrong. I love to meditate on the blessings of God as much as the next guy. But I find that this seems very disproportionate when compared to the scriptures. There are many wonderful, marvelous blessings given in the Word of God to those that are obedient and follow God's ways. But there are also many warnings to those that do not obey God or that follow after other gods. Dire warnings of judgment and of chastisement. I think of how we raise our own children. We love them and we want them to have the very best of what we can give them. We never hesitate to tell them how much we love them. But they're children, and there are times when they have to be warned. There are times when they have to be disciplined. And discipline is never pleasant. I remember my dad used to telling me just before he was getting ready to spank me, this is going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt you. And then he spanked me. And I never believed that it was hurting him more than me. But when I grew up and I became a man, I understood exactly what he meant. Discipline is never pleasant, but it's necessary. So our children grow up knowing that we love them. But they also know that if they disobey, that there's going to be a day of reckoning. There's going to be a time when they have to face the consequences of what they've done. Today, many parents have forgotten to instill that respect for the law and for consequences into their children. This has led to a breakdown of discipline in the family. We see it in the schools and in the homes and in the restaurants and even in the aisle of our nearest Walmart. As some child throws himself on the ground and demands what he wants. The other thing we see is that it gets worse and worse with each generation. You see, God knew all of that, and he knew exactly what he was doing. He is a good father, a loving father, but he will never look the other way and leave us in our sin. Today, we're reading Joshua 21 through 24. As Joshua finishes dividing the land between the tribes of Israel, and he gives the Levites the cities that were promised to them, there soon comes a time when Joshua is facing his own mortality. He's going to die. He brings the people of Israel together, and much like Moses had done, he warns them to be true to God's command. He gives the very familiar choice, the one that is very popular in the world, almost everybody knows it, and it, choose you this day whom you shall serve. I don't know of a preacher who hasn't never preached on that verse. And he concludes with, but as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone in and seen that on a wall at somebody's house. But I want to take you just a little bit farther. I want to look at the continuation of that speech, the part that Joshua gives after the children. You see, the children of Israel respond and they say, yes, we will serve the Lord. And Joshua gives them a warning. In Joshua chapter 23, verse 15, he says this, therefore it shall come to pass, that is, all good things are come upon you, which the Lord your God promised you, so shall the Lord bring upon you all evil things until he has destroyed you from off this good land which the Lord your God has given you, when you have transgressed the covenant of the Lord your God, which he commanded you, and you have gone and served other gods and bowed yourselves to them. Then shall the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and you shall perish quickly from off the good land which he has given unto you. It's no wonder that people don't want to read that stuff. That's not uplifting, but it's necessary. We've got to come and we have to understand that there is punishment. There is a hell. You take hell away from the Bible, and you're going to take a whole lot of the Bible away. Yes, there's a heaven to gain, but there is a hell to avoid. God is a good Father. He knows how to give us good gifts. He knows what his children need. But a good Father also knows that when his children choose to do evil and to rebel against him, he knows what is best for them. He knows that they must learn not to do that. And that means they must face the consequences of their sin. God loved Israel, but he told them, when you have transgressed the covenant of the Lord your God, served other gods, and bowed yourselves down to them, the anger of the Lord will be kindled against you. Think about that. How would you like to be in the hands of an angry God? How would you like to be in the hands of a God who is upset with you? That's what God was warning the Israelites. He said, don't go there. Don't go there. I am a loving God, but I'm a just God, and I become angry. Note that God didn't say, I'm going to stop loving you, but he says, I'm going to be angry with you. There's a key passage in the Bible that says, be angry and sin not. Being angry is not a sin. God becomes angry when we rebel against him and we distort the very image of God that is in us, when we reject his goodness for evil, when we embrace the darkness and we avoid his light, when we become more about ourselves and less about him. Much like a parent that loves their child, open rebellion can stir us to a righteous anger, a fear that if that child goes unchecked, they will destroy themselves. That's why we correct our children. That's why we make them face the consequences of their actions. That's one reason why some parents who love their children but fail to allow them to face the consequences of their bad choices often face an ever-increasing rebellion and destruction in their child's life. You see, God knows better than that. God knows that's not what he wants for you. He loves you more than that. Understanding this about God helps us to comprehend his character, to know how a God of love could allow or even send an enemy to take away our blessing and possess our land. That's exactly what he told Israel that he would do. He said, if you do this, when you do that, I will send someone. They will take away your land. They will take away your blessing. They will take away your promise. Not because I don't want you to have it, but because you need to turn back to me. You see, the most important thing isn't the land. The most important thing is God. That's who we have to look for. If you find yourself continually repeating the same mistake, if you can't seem to possess the promise, but instead you take one step forward and it seems that you take 2 steps back, God is calling you to seek his face, to know his love, and to walk with him in the way of holiness. This is the way. Walk in it. The way of blessing begins at the heart of God, and it will always turn and lead us back to the will of God. You see, if we don't understand that, then we're going to make God angry. And if God's angry, then our blessings become burdens. We need to seek God's heart. We need to seek God's will. We need to put it first in our life. And if we do, we will be blessed. But remember, it's a choice. I choose this day to love God, to serve God, and to follow God. Let's do it together. God bless you.